The James Comey prosecution is, of course, outrageous. It is beyond outrageous. But in the age of Trump, outrage takes real energy, and none of us has an unlimited supply of outrage energy. And so I, for one, in our coverage of this story, have decided to treat it as the jurisprudential joke that it is, and to save the outrage for Donald Trump ripping up the deal Iran signed with the United States in an agreement with President Obama, negotiated by Secretary of State John Kerry and joined by the United Kingdom, France, Germany, Russia, and China, in which Iran promised in writing to never develop a nuclear weapon and agreed to strict monitoring conditions everywhere in Iran to make sure they were not developing a nuclear weapon. Donald Trump ripped up that deal in his first term as president, and now Donald Trump is outrageously waging a war in an attempt to get that deal again with Iran. 13 Americans have been killed in that war for no reason. Dozens seriously injured. Thousands of Iranians killed. A girls' school targeted by an American missile, killing hundreds of people. Donald Trump achieved nothing by killing those girls in their school. So I save my outrage for the people who are dying in Africa tonight because Donald Trump and Elon Musk and Secretary of State Marco Rubio took life-saving medicine away from those people. Babies born with AIDS in Africa because Donald Trump and Elon Musk took their mother's HIV medicine away from them during their pregnancies. Food that was on its way to delivery in a famine zone in Africa to starving people, stopped by Elon Musk and allowed to rot in a warehouse. Too many people are dead tonight because of the capriciousness and vicious cruelty of Elon Musk working under Donald Trump's authority and producing what Bill Gates, whose foundation has done so much life-saving work in Africa, called, quote, the world's richest man killing the world's poorest children. That's where our outrage belongs. James Comey is going to be fine. James Comey's not in trouble. The only question is when the case will be thrown out of court. No one is better equipped to defend himself against a ridiculous Trump indictment than a former FBI director, a former federal prosecutor, James Comey, who has a team of the best possible lawyers who will crush Donald Trump's clownish acting attorney general, who was Donald Trump's criminal defense lawyer. And so, in a news environment where what was happening to James Comey was the most outrageous thing Donald Trump was doing, then outrage would, of course, be the right frame for that story. But another way to look at it now is to see just how invaluable it will be to history, to see what a gift it is to historians, including legal historians. Historians will see in the James Comey prosecution the madness of Donald Trump run wild. Historians will see that the person in charge of Donald Trump's Justice Department was willing to humiliate himself to a degree that no other person in that position has ever chosen to do. It is proof beyond a reasonable doubt that Donald Trump's acting attorney general is acting only for Donald Trump. And the legal outcome that James Comey will achieve through a dismissal or other ending of that case will be a full humiliation of Donald Trump and Todd Blanche. Complete and total humiliation of the both of them. No one will be defending that prosecution a year from now, or 5 years from now, or 10 years from now, or ever. Todd Blanche will lie about it for the rest of his life. After he leaves Donald Trump's Justice Department, he will pretend for the rest of his life that he had nothing to do with that indictment. But that indictment and the dismissal of that indictment will stand as proof in writing of just how abusive Donald Trump was, abusive to the people working for him, abusive to Todd Blanche, abusive to the Constitution, abusive to common sense. And Todd Blanche will stand convicted by history as someone who violated his oath to the Constitution by pursuing this indictment. Nothing the Trump Justice Department does will speak as simply and clearly to history as this indictment of James Comey and the eventual dismissal of the case. Every restaurant worker in America tonight is now legally smarter than Donald Trump's acting attorney general and Donald Trump. They all know what 86 means. It's that simple. Donald Trump and Todd Blanche have found a way to expose themselves. And they are both too stupid to know what they have exposed about themselves in their indictment of James Comey. War is the ultimate test of presidential credibility. And Donald Trump has entered his war with no credibility and continues to find new ways to damage his credibility every day. And the James Comey indictment is now helping to separate voters from Donald Trump, voters who haven't already left him. This indictment is utterly harmless to James Comey. He has the strength to crush it, and he will. The indictment only weakens Donald Trump, humiliates Donald Trump. And weakening and humiliating Donald Trump is what is necessary to separate more and more voters from Donald Trump and Trumpism, with polls now indicating Donald Trump's approval rating is the lowest it has ever been. And so a weak, humiliated president was essentially on trial today in a Senate hearing about his war in Iran with a weak and humiliated Secretary of Defense unable to defend his war.
Open source reporting has estimated that the military has used an outrageous number of Patriots. I'm not even going to say the numbers, but a lot of Patriots, a lot of THAAD rounds, JASSM-ER, Tomahawks, very expensive, exquisite. We can't make these munitions overnight, and it's clear from your budget request that you know that. Can you tell us how many years specifically is it going to take to replace these systems?
Senator, thank you for the question. I would defer to the comptroller on the amount because I think it's a lot higher than 53. If you look at long-range fires, JASSMs, LRASMs, Tomahawks, we're looking at $238 billion.
Okay,
we're looking at $40 billion for hypersonic. So I actually think it's closer to $330 billion in munitions.
Okay, how many years to replenish? That's the question.
I think that's exactly the right question, too, Senator, because the time frame we were existing under was unacceptable.
Okay, well,
and
tell
what this
me,
budget does, months and years, fast.
Years.
I mean, we're building new plants in real time.
So just to replace what we have expended.
I said months.
And then you said years.
It depends on the weapon system, but 2 to 3, 4x of what we have today.
Okay.
So yes, we're dealing with a reality under the previous administration of what they sent to Ukraine and what they allocated elsewhere.
Okay, I got it. So
and
we fired years worth of munitions. And it is clear that these are being expended to try to achieve some objectives.
Once again today, Donald Trump said, quote, "We've already won." This time he added a touch of madness in which he thinks there's some kind of scoreboard in war, like a football game, when he said, quote, "We've already won, but I want to win by a bigger margin."
We've already won, but I want to win by a bigger margin.
No one contradicts Donald Trump more than Donald Trump, and he did it today in talking about the Iranian government.
They want to make a deal badly. We have a problem because nobody knows for sure who the leaders are.
So sentence one is, they want to make a deal badly. Sentence two is, we don't know who they are. It is impossible to say they want to make a deal if you then say nobody knows who the leaders are. And so Donald Trump is now, in effect, saying he doesn't know who he is at war with now. On day 61 of Donald Trump's war, he doesn't know who his war is against, who his war is fighting. And in the history of American war quagmires, from Vietnam onwards, no president before Donald Trump has ever been so lost that that president did not even know who the enemy was in that war, in the war that that president was waging. And it could not be more obvious that Donald Trump cares much more about building a ballroom. Donald Trump cares much more about prosecuting James Comey than Donald Trump cares about his own war on day 61 of that war.